can go ahead and support the show. Again, that is patreon.com/JURY. You get bonus stuff. You get the $3 level, 2 extra podcasts on Monday and on Friday. Man, it's the best thing going in independent political podcasting that you can actually stomach and you can be proud to tell your friends about. Until I joke about cum or something. That is patreon.com/JURY. But enough of talking about how we do the show or how we support the show. What do you say we just do the damn thing?
Politics, 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 politics. Yes. Come on, come on, come on.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, 2 episodes this week. I spoil you, babies. I spoil you. This is the first of 2 episodes that you guys are going to get this week for free. Welcome to the Politics show. My name is Justin Robert Young. I'm not lying. Here's the deal. This might be a little bit of a looser episode than they normally run. It's not quite as scripted as what's going to happen or as you might expect. And here's the reason why. The next 2 current events, regular PX3 episodes for this week and next week are going to be a little bit weird because we have special treats for you. The special treat this week is a debate between Brian Brushwood and Jeff Kanata. That will happen in the next episode that will come out today. So if you just want that, then just go find that. And next week, we will be replaying my live show that I record tomorrow about the American Sex Scandal Bracket Challenge. Now, I know that a lot of you are like, okay, cool. I'm here for a little bit of the other elements of politics stuff. But what I really want from you, Justin, is to make sense of what the fuck is going on in our bizarre, weird world of politics right now. And I hear you. I can't leave you be, which is why I'm doing these extra shows so we can keep up. I can let you guys know. You guys can feel free to rip off my hot takes and spew them all over the office. So, let's go ahead and get into the big news today. And can you smell that? Can you smell that? Oh, yes. It smells like it did last summer. Oh, yes. Yes. Yes, that's it. It smells like freshly dropped leeks. Yes. Yes. Remember last summer when we would know if, how, and when Steve Bannon, Reince Priebus, Ivanka Trump, or Jared Kushner farted in the Oval Office. Somebody else would indeed smell it and then assign blame as to who indeed dealt it. Sources close to the president never had more access to these free and fair press corps. And then something terrible happened. Amongst all the palace intrigue, things kind of calmed down. You know, they got John Kelly and they fired the mooch, and Bannon got excommunicated and eventually had his head severed from his neck in the town square. Completely ruined, failing in completion to the Jared and Ivanka side. And while that happened, just kind of a lot of boring politics shit happened. Like, oh, are we going to pass the tax cuts? I think the tax cuts are good. I think the tax cuts are bad. Let's debate the tax cuts. Uh-oh, we have enough. The tax cuts are unpopular. Oh, the tax cuts are popular now. So exciting. Look at the wild world of politics. I'm not sleepy, I'm just blinking. But then we saw some cracks. Oh, yes. Yes, we saw some cracks. We saw that asshole who was deputy to chief of staff, John Kelly. He got fired because it was revealed that he was beating his wives or had beaten his wives, and he'd been arrested for it, and ugly pictures existed, and now all of a sudden, there was a sliver of daylight. The idea that John Kelly was not the adult in the room, but rather was possibly just a fallible human being like anybody else, I believe emboldened everybody else that had a problem with him, chafed under his control. None, you could make the argument, would be more fired up about this than the Javanka side, Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump. And friends, I'm here to tell you that the bad old days are back. I don't know if they're totally back. I don't know if their baby got back. I don't know if they are fat back. What I do know is that there is, without a doubt, a fight going on, and it is one that either side doesn't matter if it ends up in public. Follow me through this. Whom might you think was whipping up through media sources that maybe John Kelly should resign? How do you think it was that word got back out through various different media outlets that John Kelly would be less likely to resign because he doesn't want the job to begin with? Which was one of my favorite things that's happened in politics over the past couple weeks. That for whatever reason, Donald Trump only likes to fire people that like their jobs. If you don't like your job, Donald Trump is very pleased to keep you in it. Now, on the other side, who do you think was stirring up White House sources say there's pushback and displeasure about how Ivanka handled herself at the Olympics? Who do you think are the White House sources in today's Washington Post that points out that multiple countries have been trying to manipulate Jared Kushner? Not have manipulated Jared Kushner, not are in the process of manipulating Jared Kushner, not Jared Kushner is leveraged against these countries, but we believe have conspired to or might believe they could. And this one's undeniable. Who makes a big public spectacle about the fact that Jared Kushner had his interim, because now, again, look, all the pieces fit here, man. This isn't just Pepe Sylvia. All the pieces fit. All the pieces. I really want to get one of those motion tracking cigarettes in my hand, just so whenever I get really conspiratorial, everybody can understand the passion with which I am doing it. What started with the Kelly deputy getting his ass booted was a question about who has clearance and how fast you can get clearance for top secret material. It was then revealed that many members of the Trump administration don't have permanent clearance. They have interim clearance. And Jared Kushner is one of them. Jared Kushner's interim clearance yesterday went from top secret to secret. This means that Jared Kushner will not be able to handle the kind of international relations that he would have otherwise. Meanwhile, if you believe, here's one element of Fire and Fury for which I believe 100%, because I think this is Michael Wolff's strong suit, New York media connections. This has always been his best writing. It's always been his best reporting. He knows, is aware, he's plugged in to the world of New York media, television, literary, newspapers. He knows these people. It's a small world. Everybody's trying to get the same Hamilton tickets. So, if he says Anthony Scaramucci is aligned with Jared and Ivanka, and the clearinghouse for this information, whenever Jared and Ivanka want to leak something, is through the Morning Joe program, Freudian sleep, then I believe it. And what was Anthony Scaramucci out in these streets saying 2 days ago? I believe that General Kelly should resign. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at war, baby. This is the juicy, everybody's got a reporter on speed dial, leak a minute craziness that has fueled this motherfucking podcast. And oh, am I excited to have it back in my life. Also, there's a Chappaquiddick movie. That was something else. That was something else I found out today. There's and it's got stars in it too. It ain't just random people. They got a trailer, Mary Jo Kopechne. I've always read that name. I don't think I've ever said it until literally right now. If you're not familiar with Chappaquiddick, Chappaquiddick was the scandal by which the now deceased Ted Kennedy was driving a woman home and accidentally ran off a bridge. And the woman that he was driving home died. And then the massaging of the scenario, because this is a world in which Joe Kennedy, or the patriarch of the Kennedy family, was very much grooming Ted to be president. So now there's a movie about it, and it's got Kate Mara in it, and it's a fairly unsympathetic portrayal of the Kennedy clan. It's something that you don't normally see. It's drunk driving and all sorts of stuff. So I don't know. I'll be interested to see it. I've been doing a lot of research here about the about the 60s, but I'll be very curious to see how this one is handled. In general, there are a few families that even to this day are handled with the kind of kid gloves that that the Kennedys are. I mean, people in general, aside from the like fun tawdry stuff, nobody really gets too deep into the Kennedys, even today. And Kate Mara pays Mary Jo Kopechne. I gotta find out. Kopechne is how I would guess it was said. You know, she already survived House of Cards, and now she's got to deal with this. Poor fucking Kate Mara. No, not Kelly Kapowski. To go back to the war real quick, I like to imagine this. Imagine that whenever, because here's something that I do also believe, by the way. This is for all my red teamers out there. If you like to see the Trump agenda put in place, it seems to be fairly clear that these things happen when drama is not. Donald Trump's approval ratings go up when he's getting things done and not publicly fighting in the streets. Now, I'm sure that many could make the argument that he's got to fight in the streets so he can get things done. Otherwise, he would just be another politician. And I understand that. But there is a line, right? And this stuff I don't think serves anybody. I don't think the Jared and Ivanka fighting with the chief of staff through the media necessarily advances anybody's agenda. H2O Happy Dude says drama is fueled by Trump. Trump is fueled by drama. By the way, we are going to take more questions and thoughts here from the chat. This is normally the time frame that I just do a chat on the Twitch, a politics chat. I do it 5 days a week, twitch.tv/Justin R. Young. I am here and available for you to pick my political brain. And so we will still do that if anybody else has thoughts or questions, then go ahead. TVC Gun does say, wrong. It does advance an agenda. Mine. Yes. Yeah. Fight it out. Oh, you want to hit him, don't you? Hit him in the face. Go, yeah, pick up the phone. You want to call Joe Scarborough, don't you? You want to call Mika Brzezinski. Call Mika. Call her now. Yeah, talk to her. That's my inner monologue. My inner monologue is the Vince McMahon voice. Hope Hicks was getting grilled by the House Intelligence Committee. I'm just gonna let y'all know. I want to let y'all know, guys. I'm just getting a little confused. I'm in the Benz. I'm all turned around. I don't know who is talking to the Senate Intelligence Committee. I don't know who's talking to the House Intelligence Committee. I don't know who's talking to the Mueller investigation. I know that if somebody talks to one, then the other ones want to talk to them. I have no idea what the hell's happening or when it will be resolved. Which I guess is instructive on some level. Because if I don't fucking understand it, then I think that we are at a law of diminishing returns on these stories specifically. Like this Hope Hicks story. Hope Hicks, who, by the way, was, many people believed was being insinuated by Omarosa to be effing her way through the White House, went on or got a 9-hour grilling from the lawmakers in the House yesterday. She didn't tell much. She did admit that on occasion she's told a little white lie in service to Donald Trump. You think? But by and large stayed very, very, very quiet. Again, like, man, talk about life comes at you fast for Hope Hicks. Hope Hicks is how old? Let me look this up. Oh, actually, I wonder if Alexa will know this. Alexa, how old is Hope Hicks?
Hope Hicks is 29 years old.
Damn, Alexa. Alexa knew. Hope Hicks is 29 years old. 29. Donald Trump started running for president in 2015. That was 3 years ago. But she was 26 years old. She was just a former teen model who was handling PR for Ivanka in the Trump organization. Now she is effectively the pipeline of all information to Donald Trump. Before her 30th birthday, she is being grilled for 9 hours by lawmakers and apparently towing the White House line very effectively. But I guess here's my larger question. Do you give a fuck about these stories? Answer answer now or send me an email, theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Hit me up on Twitter @JustinRYoung. Do you give a fuck about these stories or do you have any sense of whether or not they're important aside from some vague tingling of like maybe obstruction of justice will squeeze out of it? Like, of all stripes, does anybody know? Does anybody know what's happening? Does anybody care? So, all right, Taz the Man says, they are dull, but they're important. Okay, how? I mean, I think that's what everybody has a vague idea that this is important and we need to focus on it. But I don't think that that's real intelligence. I don't think that that really makes us smarter. Us just saying, we got to look, got to eat our vegetables. I don't know what these vegetables are, but I got to eat them. But like, I just don't know what on either side politically that, what they really mean. Alex Cutadine says, I think the only people that give an F are those who are looking to nail Trump. I'm happy to let the investigators do their thing, but if there is something they will let us know. All this sideshow stuff feels like politics. Well, I don't really know what the apple dumpling gangs in the House and the Senate really hope to do. I understand the Mueller investigation. The Mueller investigation, and when he and his team are investigating people, I think there's a clear pathway of what they're trying to do there. They're trying to bring charges against those that they feel were involved in either collusion or obstruction of justice, and then they are trying to flip them in exchange for dropping those charges. That's a police investigation. That I understand. I get that. I have no idea what the fuck, people are expecting to get out of the House and Senate investigation, and therefore I can understand the Trump administration saying, don't answer questions. What are they going to do? Stomp their feet? Coach from home, this isn't wrestling. This is real rule of law. My point is not to say that they're not important. My point is to say I don't understand how they're important. I'm talking specifically about the House and Senate grillings of these people. The Mueller thing I get. I just don't know where the end game is. I don't know what the consequences are. I don't know what a good job of it being done is. I don't know what a bad job of it being done is. And I don't know if anybody else does either. Von Huntington writes, when has a congressional committee hearing ever led to anything other than grandstanding for the congressional members as a mechanism for pillory for those calls? Yeah. I mean, I guess if we're just looking at them as really, really, really well-covered perp walks, then sure. Yeah. They're fucking covered and smothered like Waffle House hash browns. Y'all hungry? I'm kind of hungry. I'm kind of really... Man, I had like a breakfast sandwich before, but what I could really go for is maybe a little pizza pie. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Man, you want to know what? I could actually go for one of them authentic, some real Italian food. Man, you want to know what? Maybe I should just bail on all this, and I should just bone out. Man, Italy's got some shit going on this weekend. March 4th, big vote, the possible reascendancy of Silvio Berlusconi. I mean, who knows? This is a wide open election. It kind of makes me wonder. Whether or not you guys all know what you need to know going into this Italian election, because this is a Italian.
Get on the floor if you got that booty. That booty.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is a 6-party pole dance. Remember that Italy votes in the parliamentary structure, meaning you are voting for the party and not the representative. Welcome first to the stage. With 4.8% of the vote, it is the Brothers of Italy. Second to the stage with 6.1% of the vote, it is the Free and Equal Party. With 13.2% of the vote, we have the Northern League.
Get on the floor if you got that booty.
Oh, he's the former leader of Italy. He's got a face tighter than a snare drum because of the plastic surgery. And he is poised to become the new leader of Italia. Let's go ahead and welcome to the stage with 16.3% of the vote, Silvio Berlusconi's party, Forza Italy. Our co-headliner, 21.9% of the vote, it is PD. Your headliner, the 5-Star Movement, with 27.8% of the vote. So if that is confusing, don't worry. It's kind of meant to be. here is what, if projections hold, might happen based on the like 2 articles I read about this. Number one, Forza, all right, so all the parties have gone in saying we are going to have enough of a threshold to create our own government, but it doesn't look like by the polling that any of them will. But up till now, they've all said publicly, we are not going to form a coalition government with anybody else. This is the shit you have to do in a parliamentary system. I don't know why everybody else just doesn't vote on, megalomaniacs like we do. But the rumor is that Silvio Berlusconi's Forza Italy party will form a coalition government with the Northern League at 13.2% and the Brothers of Italy at 4.8%. That would barely put them at enough to form a government. JSC315 says Italy is all messed up from what I've read, i.e., pick a point in history when, they weren't running the world that Italy hasn't been fucked up. So there we go. There is our Italia pole dance. Big thank you to Open Bayou in the Discord. He is really the unsung hero of keeping me up to date with awesome stuff that doesn't fall into my radar. And he also brought up that Italian pole dance. Let's go ahead and get into your emails. That is where you go ahead and email theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Again, theyoungamerican@gmail.com. We got our first email from Ned. Hi, jury. I'm writing this because you and the PX3 listeners are the only people I think I can give an honest answer. Please understand I ask this as a conservative liberal. I'm from Australia. There are many things I don't understand about American gun culture, but in every single commentary about the gun issue, on the left or right, everyone says they believe in the Second Amendment. This argument seems to be along the lines that it is important to protect yourself from a tyrannical government. But what does that really mean? By whose judgment is government tyrannical? If the FBI turns up to your house, does the Second Amendment provide you the right to shoot your way out? And if you do successfully, what then? Or perhaps should dreamers being deported take up arms against ICE? The U.S. government is the largest military force on the planet by every possible measure imaginable. Is the right to take up arms against this force really something worth preventing? Isn't that what we call terrorism? The Second Amendment appears to me to be an idol that is propped up by a libertarian utopian pipe dream that fails to connect with the ideal of reality. What possible purpose does it have considering the current state of the political structure? Why is no one willing to question its status or legitimacy? Well, Ned, I would say that it's not that the Second Amendment is not debated for its legitimacy. It is something a lot of people say does not either mean what it is said to mean or should be kind of ignored. In fact, there was a great podcast by 538 a couple weeks ago about the gun debate, where they had an author on talking about how the Second Amendment was kind of thought of as one of the forgotten amendments until kind of very recent history, like the 70s and 80s specifically, when it became more clearly defined as the right to have a gun. Before that, it just didn't really get brought up all that much. So I think the idea is that as a sign that we run the government and the government doesn't run us, many people believe that the right to have a weapon is kind of that safeguard for whatever reason. And that's kind of the constitutional argument. What I think moves this conversation a lot more is the on the ground argument that people don't see eye to eye when it comes to guns, and I think a lot of it is regional. A lot of it, to me, the thing that we don't talk about a lot is that I would love to see a correlation of how much people believe they should be able to own a gun based on correlated with how much they trust the police or how effective they believe the police are, i.e., how fast can they get to you. Waffleophagus. So, Justin, hot takes on another possible school shooting in the suburbs of Atlanta happening now, specifically if the shooter was a teacher. I'm going to go ahead and say not today, Satan, on offering hot takes for a situation that I am literally just learning of in the chat. Nice try. I'm sure we'll talk about it on Friday. Doug writes, I noticed the crisis actor conspiracy video got a lot of media attention. The fact that it, quote-unquote, went viral to imply many conservatives buy into that theory. Just because a loony conspiracy video gets a ton of hits doesn't mean that anyone believes it. I have a feeling that many of the hits came from the left. When the video gets reported on Huffington Post or similar sites, curious people click through to see what it is for themselves. I live in a deep red state of Alabama, and my Facebook is filled with local family, friends, and workmates, and is 90% right-wing. I never hear anyone talking about these right-wing conspiracy theories like the Sandy Hook shooting was fake, or Pizzagate, or Obama's a Muslim, or now crisis acting. The only time I hear about them on Twitter, which is 95% left-wing for me, are people ranting about how stupid conservatives are for believing in these dumb theories. 150%. Like, that's I think that a lot of times we get into these kind of arguments with we're like the weasels in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. You know, we get so wrapped up in laughing at our enemies that we fail to understand the complexities that they suffer as humans, while we also demand that they understand ours. And that's crazy. So, look, I'm not here saying that no conservative passed this around, but I don't know if mainstream conservatives passed it around. Rich writes, I love your show, and I think you're incredibly balanced. So let me ask you this. In light of credible evidence that the FBI dropped the ball and the local sheriff of Broward County majorly dropped the ball, and that local deputies cowered behind cover instead of saving children, the overwhelming response to the media is that we must take guns away from law-abiding citizens. All right. I've been on the record as saying that I do believe that the same arguments that we have for diversity in the newsroom, i.e., that people tend to cover stories that they have backgrounds for, and that coverage, both from reporters and editors, tend to be within their own frame of reference, that yes, if then we are to assume that most reporters and editors fall into a certain political spectrum, that things are going to tilt a certain way. That does not mean that I think that reporters and editors do a bad job. It certainly doesn't mean that I think that the media, quote unquote, is in any way moving lockstep. However, there are a lot of questions to be answered about that Parkland shooting by the Broward County Sheriff's Office and by the FBI. It seems like the drip, drip, drip on this is not favorable to the fact that this kid should have probably been brought in at some point for something, or there should have been red flags on him that should have prevented him from doing other stuff. Now, let's take that one step further. If we had a functioning universal background check system, maybe that kind of information could have been used to have him be prohibited from buying the kind of weapon that he used to kill 17 people. So this is my perfect fucking example where people can't get their fucking heads out of their asses for 2 seconds. They're too busy super just getting their bingers stiff, clicking on share about, my favorite person destroys my enemies, that they can't say, look, if we think through this clearly, we can probably agree on so much shit. Ken points out this tweet that came in from Stoneman Douglas High School student Sarah Chadwick about Marco Rubio. We should change the name of AR-15s to Marco Rubio because they're so easy to buy. Which, I mean, look, you will never hear me say a negative word about these Stoneman Douglas kids hijacking their own narrative to say whatever the fuck they want. I will not do that. I stand by my fellow soon-to-be Broward County High School graduates. But listen, some of this stuff is going to be in good taste. Some of this stuff is going to be in bad taste. I don't know. I've very much appreciated a lot of the messaging from some of these kids saying that what they want to do is start a new conversation instead of fighting old conversations. I think what you saw from Marco Rubio at that town hall was a willingness to step into the buzzsaw a little bit. I think the fastest way to constructive policy difference is by embracing that and rewarding it and not necessarily pantsing him. But if I were that kid, I'd probably be making the same joke. So I'm not going to get up his butt about the joke. This is old version of these kids being an old man. I'm an old man. Payne writes, he has a thing about the Eric Greitens affair. By the way, the Eric Greitens affair, that man is now indicted. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff with that. Okay. I am an old man. I do not live alone. All right. Okay, that is all the time we are going to have here for today. I am so excited to see so many of you at our live event at Piano Fight tomorrow. Again, that is going to be at 7 p.m. at the Piano Fight Theater in San Francisco. It is, as of now, sold the fuck out. We sold out this show. And man, am I so fucking thrilled that that we did it. So, again, only you guys keep independent political media alive. I answer only to you, not a narrative, not a paycheck. No editor coming up in my ear and telling me what to talk about. It is just me and you, your mama, and your cousin, too. Thank you. Thank you for making this shit sold out. Thank you. I'm so excited to see all of you guys. We got merch for tomorrow. It's going to be fucking amazing. That about wraps it up for this edition, part 1 of this week's Politics. So let's go ahead and get the music.
Politics.
Folks, if you want to get in touch with me, go ahead and hit theyoungamerican@gmail.com. If you want to hit me up on Twitter, it is at Justin R. Young. Instagram the same. Snapchat the same. Ladies and gentlemen, some shows talk about politics. Others talk about politics. Still more, man, they're talking about fucking politics. This show, the only one that talks about all three. We still got another episode. Let's get into that shit.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.